Hello everyone, welcome to Sunya IAS. Guys, today in this video we are going to discuss test number 7 of Manthan program. This test was regarding the CSAT. Okay, and that too we have taken reading comprehension as a component for the test. Guys, CSAT, has been very important these days since last 3 years. The pattern has changed. People used to think that they don't need to put an effort for CSAT paper, but it is getting difficult day by day to qualify the paper. So let's get started. We will discuss the questions. There were 80 questions. In this video, we are going to discuss 20 out of those 80, and rest is going to be available to Manthan students on their portal. So guys, okay, so this is our question number 1. But before starting the CSAT questions, I would want to tell everyone that a lot of students are confused. Ma'am, how do we go about CSAT? Do we read the passages first or do we read the options first? I would say not any of them. Okay, you have to read the keyword that is given here, because according to the keyword, okay, your answer is going to change. In couple of questions I will tell you that if there had been another keyword, how from the same passage and same option you have to take different answer. So actually CSAT में जो this RC thing is perceived very differently by a lot of people, which is a very incorrect way. Okay, there are a certain keywords that UPSC is asking, and we have to know the meaning of these keywords to reach the correct answer. Okay, one such word is assumption, implication, then inference, then conclusion, central idea, crucial message, corollary. You have to know the meaning of all these keywords, only then you can reach the correct answer. But a lot of us, what do we do is we read the passage and then we read the options, and whatever suits the best, we try to tick that thing. But it is a very 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 incorrect practice, guys. So let's get your reading comprehension thing sorted. So let's start reading the passage. Before anything, we are humans, and if our education does not teach us to be better humans, it is of no use. Highly educated sons and daughters abandoning their elderly parents is a sign of failure of education. The success of any education can be gauged by not how a person is able to learn, but how they are able to function as an active, creative, and productive member of the society. So, guys, here you have to understand one thing. The passage talks about education and human behavior. Okay, whenever you're reading the passage, don't just blindly read it, or just don't read it in a hurry so that you have to revisit the passage, read it 3 or 4 times. Okay, whenever you read the passage, make it a point that you read it at once, break it up into sentences, understand the gist of every sentence, and then you go to the options. So here the first thing we were going to read is the crucial message. So we have to understand what is the message of the passage, है ना? So here very easily we have taken out the gist that education here is linked with human behavior, right? So let us see what are the options. Higher education, higher the success. No, this thing is already negated in the passage. Option number B, success of education is assessed by increasing productivity and creativity of the individual. Yes, this can be an option. Let's put a question mark here and read the other two options. A highly learned person has high productivity and empathy for the society. See, this is also negated. It says that highly educated individuals are abandoning their parents. Okay, so there is no empathy. High degree of education doesn't always correlate with success. Okay, so this is also one of the things. So you will be confused between B and D. Okay, but here the gist of the passage, the crucial message of the passage is that human behavior and education they're talking about these two things, that education does not guarantee human behavior, but the success can be gauged by what? By increased productivity and creativity of an individual. So the best crucial message out of these four passages would be the option B. Okay, another passage. Scrutinizing concentrated markets may be a good idea, but it will not do much to fight inflation. So now here we are talking about inflation. It is absurd. But what are we supposed to read, guys, first? What are we supposed to find out? Assumption. है ना, always make it a practice. I will just do this so that you remember that in your exam you have to read the keyword first. Now, what is an assumption? How do you figure out what is the assumption from the passage? For that you have to know what is assumption, right? So assumption is something which is not explicitly given in the passage. Okay, it is not even implied. It is something you're assuming. So say for example, your mom, okay, she one evening she's saying that she's very tired, her feet is aching, okay, and she's not in a good mood. So you will assume that today we are going to order food from outside and your mother is not going to cook. But your mom has not said any of those sentences. Okay, you are just assuming that. Done. So, very simple, assumption is something that is not directly given in the passage, but it will be assumed. है ना? So, let us start. So, inflation, we got the first sentence. Let's read it again. Scrutinizing concentrated markets may be a good idea, but it will not do much to fight inflation. Done. It is absurd to think that corporations have become greedier over the past year or that markets are suddenly less competitive. Prices have accelerated partly because of excessive economic stimulus. The danger of misdiagnosing the cause of inflation is that it eventually leads not just to irrelevant policies but to damaging ones. So, here we are talking about inflation and market. Okay, so let's look at the options now. What we are going to assume? We are going to assume things which are not written in the passage, but they, can be a part of the assumption. Like I gave you a very simple example. So the first option is corporate greed over the years has increased inflation. No, right? It is not anywhere given. Let us go ahead. What does it say here? Corporations have become greedier over the time. It is absurd to think it. It is saying this is not a possibility at all. Methods to identify the cause of inflation needs to be improved. Now, this is, what do you think? This is given? This is not given. But I can say that yes, what we are talking about, that we are not able to actually diagnose. Okay, it nowhere says that it has to be improved. So this can be an assumption. Okay, can be. Now when you have answers which have lot of options like this, what you do is, first thing that the first one is incorrect. So see, if you eliminate these options, you will be left with the answer. Okay, so elimination method also works very well with the passages. If you can find out one thing that is not working, then you will be able to eliminate at least one or two options. Let us read 3 and 4 even if we have got the answer. Inflation targeting is a complex task in a free market economy. Now here we are nowhere talking about a free market. Okay, the main thing we are talking about is inflation. Like your mom was talking about food, right? That she's very tired and all those things. Here, inflation is the point, and we are not talking about free market. Policymakers across the world should make concentrated effort to analyze the market. No, it is not also said this. So the assumption here is only this one. ठीक है? This one is kind of implication that yes, they have to do it. So here the only answer is 2. Question number 3. There was rising addiction to social media websites such as Facebook and Twitter, especially among youngsters, which lead to. But what are we doing? We are going to read what is given here. With reference to the passage, which of the following statements is correct? So here you don't have to, think about assumption, implication. It's a simple one. Last year we saw such questions in the paper wherein there was no keyword, but they asked that which of the following is correct, statement is correct according to the passage. Okay, so let us read. Especially among youngsters, which leads to other psychological problems such as depression and eating disorders. Instances of cyberbullying, online harassment and trolling have increased. There have been instances of women committing suicide because of online harassment through activities such as their private videos being circulated on WhatsApp and Facebook. So this whole thing is talking about how social media is affecting lives of people. Okay, so overuse of social media has its own negative consequences. Yes, we're talking about disorders, we are talking about bullying, we are talking about harassment, women committing suicide. Okay, so yes, this one seems correct. Children and youngsters are more prone to the social media misuse. Now, here, especially youngsters, they have mentioned, children is not mentioned. So, again, see, if you go to the options, option number 2 is eliminated directly. है ना? So, now you have to check whether the fourth one is correct or not. Social media is not only changing the psychological behavior but also affecting the lifestyle of individuals. Yes, depression and eating disorder, is this a part of lifestyle? Yes. So our answer here is going to be 1 and 4 only. Okay, another question. The goal should be to make it easier for investors to track carbon emission of their portfolios. Okay, so here we are talking about carbon emission and investors. Funds with zero emissions would be virtuous, but those that cut their footprint fast might even be better. This will require new disclosure so that investors can track emissions and avoid double counting across supply chains. Okay, so we are talking about some mechanism wherein an investor can track, what in funds they're investing and how much carbon footprint they are leaving. ठीक है, आगे. Such a system should be simpler to administer and ask fewer countries that struggle to agree on what counts as green. Okay, right now there's a lot of debate between countries. A new global green disclosure body has been set up, but it needs to act faster. So they've also said that a body is set up and they need to act faster. Now, what are we supposed to act? We are supposed to look at the critical message. Critical message is something that is not implicit, है ना, explicitly नहीं दिया हुआ है. It is not directly written in the passage, but it will be something like this is what you would feel from reading the entire passage. Guys, all these things are very easy for me because I teach, but you will need a lot of practice, lot of solving of examples based on keywords kind of an approach to get a knack of it. Okay, because in UPSC this year we see even last year there was a trend of very long passages. Last year we have seen UPSC is giving only 3 to 4 lines, and the questions they are asking, everyone is confused what they are asking, what they're trying to ask, because the options are completely different from the passage. So this example is one of those, and also all the options look similar. So in that case, how do you tackle such things? Practice is something you will need. So let's look at the options. Currently, tracking carbon emissions by investor is not possible. This is false information. Okay, it said that there should be a mechanism which would make it easier. Means it is difficult right now and possible right now. Second option, cutting emissions requires a multi-dimensional approach to a global scale for faster results. I will put a question mark because I can and like think something on these lines that yes, it is trying to say this. Creation of new bodies with specific roles can enable faster realization of emission targets. Now here it is already given that it is set up, so there's no point creation of new bodies kind of a thing, and that is just one part of the passage. Okay, the passage is talking about 3 to 4 different things. So many a times in critical message they will try to give you one component as an option, and you will be very lewd to take that. But understand, whenever critical message is asked, then you are not supposed to take just one component. You are supposed to look at the entire passage. Now, option number 4, there is disagreement among nations on the definition of green. Now this is also one component. Okay, fewer countries that agree, this is one component, this one is another component. So these two options are talking about one component from the passage. This one is completely negating what is being said in the passage. And the option B, okay, it is talking about how can investors track, then talking about having funds which are cutting their emissions faster, then talking about having a new disclosure system, about countries should agree on something similar, about setting up a new global body. So here we are talking about a multi-dimensional scale approach at a global scale. So here option B is like one of the best suited critical messages to this passage. As and when you'll start doing examples, you will understand. आगे चलते हैं. Virtual reality technology is still in its infancy and its total potential use is yet to be explored. Okay, let us see here. We are not supposed to assume, interpret critical message. Whatever statements are correct, we are supposed to take them. Okay, so here we go. Although there are already some promising areas such as healthcare, education, governance, where it can be used even in early stages, it has been observed that we have many harmful effects on individuals and society. There are many concerns related to our health, safety, privacy, and long-term use impact. So let us look at the options. A. Virtual reality is highly beneficial for the human race in the long run. Now guys, see, if there was a crucial message, critical message asked from this passage, then A would have been your answer. But no, we are just supposed to look at the passage and what is true, what are the statements in line with the passage, we have to take them. So it is nowhere given, है ना. Assumption, if it was asked, then yes, this would have been one of the assumptions that we can make. So here I am going to abandon this because there is no assumption or other things. I am supposed to think beyond the passage. I am just supposed to be here. Also guys, we have lot of GS, read lot of material of GS, lot of editorials and all. So sometimes it will happen that you will think beyond the passage. So guys, please don't do that. Strictly keep yourself in line with the passage. Don't go ahead of yourself of the passage. ठीक है? Virtual reality helps to understand complex concepts, subjects or theories. We are not talking about understanding things. Okay. आगे, government should prioritize privacy of individual above development in technology. Nowhere given. Okay. Virtual reality has a great potential in bringing transformation from local governance to primary healthcare and education. Yes, potential use yet to be explored. There are already some promising areas. So yes, it is very much in line with it. Okay, so let us go ahead. Professional bodies including the American Academy of Pediatrics have endorsed gender affirmative care which accepts patients. Okay, now what we are supposed to look at here is conclusion. I will always disrupt reading and go here, so that in exam also you are reminded that you're supposed to look at the word first and then read the passage. That's a sequence we are going to follow. Okay, professional bodies include the American Academy of Pediatrics, have endorsed gender affirmative care, which accepts patients' self diagnosis that they are transgender. Here, trans refers to as transgender. This can mean the prescription of puberty blockers for children as young as 9. Trans medicine is not a core part of medical school curriculums. Okay, now people are endorsing it. Okay, children can self identify their gender as transgender. Okay, but it is not a part of the curriculum, है ना? But an academic pediatrician says that all medical students understand that they are expected to follow the affirmation model uncritically and unquestionably. Even though it is not a part of their syllabus, they are supposed to follow it. Okay, and they all understand it. So let us see what does the passages have for us. So we have to find a conclusion. है ना? How do you reach a conclusion? You look at the facts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and then you conclude something. So conclusion is also something which is not explicitly given, and it is not based on just one point of the passage, but you will have to look at different aspects of the passage, all the sentences, and then draw a conclusion. Okay, trans medicine is gaining popularity in academia and professions are concerned about gender issue. This is nowhere written and it does not reflect. No one is concerned, है ना? And it is not gaining popularity. They are just saying that they want this affirmative care wherein the patient self-identifies himself or herself. The curricula of medical schools need urgent revamping to accommodate trans medical needs. Now, this can be a passage because here it is written that it is not a part of the curriculum. They are endorsing and people are practicing. So we'll put a question mark here, we'll go down. Curriculums often lag behind the needs of the society in terms of biological health. Now here we are not talking about biological health. Are we? No. When supported and loved through their development, transgender and gender diverse children can grow into happy and healthy adults. Now this can be, like one of the assumptions if there were couple of other lines added, है ना, or a crucial message. But no, we are just talking about the curriculum that American Academy of Pediatrics is endorsing that, right? And they are supposed to follow it when they are practicing. So this is very, very, very simple. We have negated the options and hence we have reached the option B. See guys, in CSAT, okay, if you have given the exam previous year or maybe year before, you would know that this is the best technique to reach the answer, because there is lot of confusion. It is first of all the pressure of time. Everyone is complaining these days that they cannot complete the syllabus in the stipulated time, right? And over and above that, the difficulty level of the questions is increasing. So in the exam, understanding the passages and scoring well from passages is going to be a huge positive for you. Okay, out of 80, 20 to 23 passages are usually asked. Okay, be it any year. I'll just erase this ink so that we can get on to solving our passage. Okay, let us read. Oh, this is about all of you guys. Let us see what is written. We are supposed to find the most logical assumption. Done. The civil services in India have a long legacy and an important role to play. However, civil servants, especially honest ones, face many challenges in performing their duties. Okay. Keep on breaking down the sentence, understanding what the passage is trying to say. That is how you can reach your answer for sure 100%. Some of major challenges are corruption, nexus between politicians and civil servants, deep penetration of corruption systems that sideline honest civil servants and pressurize simple judiciary and advocacy groups. Okay, so we are talking about how important civil services are, and honest civil servants are really suffering. ठीक है, and that the other judiciary and advocacy groups are also being pressurized. So let us see what assumption can we make. There should be mechanisms to fix accountability on legislature, executive and judiciary. Nowhere this can be assumed. Okay, we're talking about civil servants here. See guys, once you'll understand what is the main theme of the passage, you will be able to reach the answer easily. Judiciary and pressure groups adversely impact the civil servants in performing their duties. No, है ना? This is not. In fact, they are bothered by the corruption. आगे, deep penetration of the corruption system in governance structure prevents efficient working of honest civil servants. Okay, now nowhere in the passage it is written about efficient working. Okay, so this is something we are assuming, that if the challenges are removed, then the honest people will be able to work efficiently. And yes, we are talking about corruption. So this is your answer. Let us look at D, if D is answer or not. The work of civil servants can be made easier only by removing corruption. Now this is an extreme statement. We all know corruption is something that can never be removed. है ना? It's thriving from never be removed say, I mean that there will be some degree of corruption usually prevalent at different levels in different forms. So this is an extreme statement. Okay, and we will always eliminate the extreme statements. Let us go for passage number 8. For all of our progress. Now guys, this is crafted very much on the lines of the last year's question. Okay, read it very carefully. Only 2 lines are there, and yet you have to find an assumption. So try to understand what the passage is talking about. And guys, trust me, UPSC will give you such kind of options, passages wherein there will be only 2 lines written or 3 lines written, and you will be left with thinking that acha, it ended and I did not understand what's happening. So let's look at this. For all our progress, India remains a tough place for people without family and support. Okay. आगे. There are cracks everywhere, and when children who have been abandoned or lost their families fall through them, there is little of a safety net to catch them. Now we are supposed to find an assumption. Assumption will not be directly written, and it will be one step ahead of what information is given. Okay, so first one. Okay, let's read from D here. We have been reading from A all the time. Indian society has progressed because of safety nets are woven without cracks. It's negating what is given. है ना? We are just discussing that there are issues with the safety net. Safety nets in India do not essentially provide for inclusive development of a society. Okay, so this can be an sorry guys, this can be an answer. The development of a nation alone cannot ensure a safety net for people without familial support. Now, where are we talking about development and ensuring we are not talking about development at all. है ना? We are talking about that India is a tough place for people without family. So here the focus is family. Okay, and that safety net. Done. And family is the cornerstone of an individual's development. So now tell me what assumption can be made. Now this is something that is possible assumption, है ना? And A is also a possible assumption. In your exam, you will come at a crossroad many a times wherein there will be 2 possible assumptions. your assumption will be different than UPSC's assumption. Okay, so looking at the previous year's question papers, uh, the answer here for the assumption is family is the cornerstone of an individual's development. Why? Because here we are not talking about the society, we are not talking about development, we are talking about children, we are talking about individuals. Okay, C looks a very lucrative option, very suitable option, but we are not talking about a society here. We are talking about children. We are talking about people without family. So we are talking about individuals and how families are important for them. So family is the cornerstone of an individual's development. Yes. Okay, so this is how UPSC plays tricks on us, है ना? But we have to practice enough. We have to understand enough all these pitfalls, and then only we will be able to reach the correct answer. So guys, we are coming up with a CSAT course, okay, dedicatedly for CSAT 2023 students. Okay, now what are the features of this program and how it is going to help you? Excuse me, guys. Now the entire syllabus will be covered in video lectures of 50 hours. All components, guys. Okay, your logical reasoning, your quant, your RC, everything will be covered in 50 hours. Also, you will get 50 hours, another additional 50 hours plus of advanced level practice session after every class on recent trends of UPSC. Okay. Now these all classes will be taken from our studio with the educator being there teaching you, not just the voiceover like we're doing right now, and it will really help you with the formulas, with the concepts, with time bound solving of your CSAT problems. Okay, and we have done great in our 2022 CSAT module. You can go to our channel and look at all the testimonials that are there. Now we have we will give you 5 full length tests for paper 2. So you have practiced enough before you go to the exam. After every lecture, you will be given practice worksheets on every concept that you have studied. है Every lecture will have a practice worksheet. Now, this practice worksheet, what do I mean by mentor support? We will give you a separate Telegram handle wherein you can send your practice sheets. Okay, if you have a doubt, you can message there, and a mentor will be there to reply to your messages. Also, you would be thinking, ma'am, right now, why do we take CSAT? We will forget it. Guys, most of the people procrastinate that we will do CSAT in the last month. But in the last month, you have so many other things to do. Okay. So it is wise to keep CSAT close because it is a qualifying paper, right? If you don't qualify CSAT, you won't be eligible to write mains. Doesn't matter if you're getting 140 in GS. Okay. So here it is. So 1 month before the exam, we will do a 15-hour live practice, and that is how we are going to revise, refresh things in your mind, and you will be able to perform great and qualify CSAT. So with this course, we are aiming that all our students, है ना, whether from English medium, from non-English background, whether engineers, whether humanities, everyone should be getting 80 to 100 marks. That is the aim and the focus of the course. And in 2022, guys, we have achieved this course and students have been very happy. Okay, so if you really think CSAT is an issue for you, paper 2 is an issue for you, I would recommend this is a course for you to understand how to solve things and how to go about things. Okay, now let us look at question number 9. NAM. Okay, what is NAM? Here nowhere it is written, but from our GS knowledge we'll just bring up the full form. Non-alignment movement has been instrumental in giving countries freedom of decision making and in developing cooperative relations. Yes, there was a phase when it was a bipolar world, either you join Russia or you join America. है ना, वर्ल्ड वॉर टू, पोस्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर टू, aftermath. Okay, so this thing has given every country not to pledge their allegiance or align with another country, but free to make, they have been made free to make decisions. That's what it is saying. Okay, with the advent of a multipolar world and the end of NATO Warsaw rivalry, the NAM seems irrelevant. NATO is still very multifunctional, and neocolonialism is being practiced by powerful nations. Now, here, what is asked? Implication is asked. Implication is still again not explicitly given. A plus B is equal to C. Okay, so it is like, we have been reading a lot of theorems, right? So this is kind of a theorem that from these given lines, what is implied? है ना? Let us look at it. NAM has a role to play in curbing neo-nationalism. No, in fact, it is non-functional these days. The current multipolar world fails to control neo-colonialism. No. Okay, neo-colonialism is not the main theme of the passage. How do you think that I tick the options so easily? I understand the theme, okay, and I look at the options. Most of the options are off. They look very lucrative, very similar, but if you understand how to go about reading comprehension, it is a cakewalk for you. See, NATO is more functional than NAM in present times. Does it say that? Not directly, but yes. And NATO is helping to enhance cooperative relations among developing nations. It does not imply that also. The only thing out of the four options which is implied from the passage is that NATO is more functional than NAM in present times. So once you understand the theme of the passage, guys, it will be very easy for you to reach the correct answer from the options. Otherwise, all the options are going to look very same. So step number 1, we are going to look at assumption. Some information that is not written directly. है ना? So if there is something that is written directly here, we are going to eliminate it right away. Let's get started. The future brings some meaningful lesson for a more transparent and participatory governance system where all are welcome. The pandemic induced crisis has more of an opportunity for self-discipline as well as for reinventing institutions based on the principles of justice, sustainability, and equality. What is it talking about? Changing governance system? है ना? Let us see. The governance systems generally undergo changes during a crisis for larger good. Not always. This is not an assumption. This is not an assumption at all. है ना? Generally undergoes after a crisis for a larger good. No. Prime goal of governance includes participation, justice, and equality. No. Okay, it is written here justice, equality. So it is gone. The governance systems are expected to undergo changes in future. Okay, here it says that it brings lessons. है ना? Now it has created an opportunity. So we can assume based on the given facts that we will learn and we will use the opportunity, and the governance system is expected to undergo changes. है ना? So this is very simple thing. A crisis is bound to succeed. Now this is again an extreme sentence. So we will eliminate this. And that's how you reached your answer. Easy peasy. Question number 11. Being joyful and giving joy are simple acts in life that do not require much effort. It is a simple way by which one can make the environment around themselves blissful. Joy is easy, giving and receiving. Okay, आगे. Gratitude is a feeling of thankfulness that springs the desire to do something for other person or thing we feel grateful towards. We're talking about being joyful. We're talking about gratitude. It's like we're defining them. One of the simplest ways to show gratitude is to be satisfied with what we have got. है ना? 1, 2, 3 sentences, simple thing. So let us look at the assumptions. Assumptions find करने है ना? First point. Gratitude is the appreciation of what is valuable and meaning to oneself and represents a general state of thankfulness. Now, this is given. So, this is not an assumption, it is directly given, explicitly given. आगे, being joyful is an art which comes with practice. Now, this is negating. It is simple, does not require effort. Negate it. Sharing happiness, okay, is the best way to be more joyful. This is correct. So our answer is 3 only. Getting my point, guys? Same, a passage was given on the same lines of in the last year's paper, and that's why we have come up with such passages, which will help you understand the, way to decipher these passages. The same passages are not going to come. Okay, the same options are not going to come, but with proper guidance and proper practice, we can learn. What can we learn? How to, है ना, reach the correct answer. The cloud business have the technological edge for now and will try to eat as much of wireless network as possible. So talking about cloud, है ना, wireless, the operators have relationship with consumers, know how to manage network on radio spectrum. Eventually, cloud providers and network operators will probably come to some kind of agreement in the new world of mobile telecoms. Okay. Now, what is implied from this passage? है ना? What is implied from this passage? Let us see. Implied means it is kind of very much implied that if you will not study regularly, you will not pass the exam. Okay, it implies that you will not pass the exam. It is as clear as ice. है ना? Crystal clear, that we call it. Development of cloud technology depends on mobile networks. Does it? No, it is not implied that cloud enterprises and mobile networks are interdependent. Hannah, does it imply that from this passage? Yes. They will try to eat possible. They will have a relationship. Hannah, they will come to some kind of agreement. So the passage constantly talks about cloud enterprises and mobile network operators. So B is the correct answer. है ना? Now C is what? It is explicitly given, and D is again an assumption. Question number 13. Farming contributes less than other sectors of the GDP but holds most of our country's workforce and land resources. ठीक है? Proper implementation of new government initiatives and mitigation of deep-seated issues in agriculture such as farm credit, irrigation system, infrastructure development and marketing channels can offer a way out of current dire situation. So first of all, you will have to understand the gist, otherwise all the options are going to look correct to you. है ना? What is it talking about? Lot of people are engaged but the GDP share is very less. What are we supposed to find? The inference. Okay. What can we understand from the passage? That's what inference stands for. Okay, now we are talking about multiple problems. Credit, irrigation, infrastructure, marketing. All these are needed. Done. Proper implementation of government policies is needed. Policies are there, but proper implementation is needed. So what do we understand by the passage? Inference में दिमाग में डाल दो that it is they are asking us to understand. There is no political will to improve the conditions of the farmers. No, there are government schemes, right? We're not talking about lack of political will. Okay. Agriculture is in dire need of radical change in every field. Credit, irrigation, infra, marketing. Can I say yes? Yes, this can be an answer, but let's read C and D also. Application of technology can help. We have not spoken about technology. It is a failure of our economic system that farming sustains most of our country's workforce. Now here we are not talking about anything, plus this information is given explicitly. So yes, this is our answer. Question number 14. Freedom comes with a heavy price. But what are we supposed to find? An assumption. Okay. Always remember, even if I am reading the passage, you have to tell your mind that no, read the keyword first. Now let's get here. Freedom comes with a heavy price. Though not all can enjoy freedom in its true spirit, celebrities know it the best. We're talking about freedom and heavy price. They are hunted, haunted, and chased. They lead caged lives. They are given demigod status, worshipped and idolized, but also pushed to a corner with no way out. Chalo, let us see. Money, assumption, is an information which is not explicitly given in the passage. Money and fame cannot buy freedom without a caged life. Now this is very much that it cannot. This is an extreme word. So I am going to eliminate this option. So I am not going to read my second point because it doesn't match my option. I'll read the third one. This is how we are going to save time in exam. Riches in life cannot ensure a life with freedom. Okay, we are talking about celebrities. We are not just talking about riches. So this one is also gone. Despite their name, fame and money, many celebrities lead a restricted life. Yes. Not all, but many. है ना? Question number 15. If we observe children or even animals, we can infer that they exhibit compassionate behavior even when they are unable to discern between right and wrong. Basic instinct and morality are complex concepts as that evolve as people and society do. Okay, so we are talking about basic instinct and we are talking about compassion. है ना? That's what we are comparing. We are talking about behavior and things get complicated when people grow up. So let us see what is the central idea. By now you should be able to tick the answers before I do, okay? Because I am taking it very slow for the students also. When it comes to development of an individual, compassion precedes morality. No, that's not the central idea. Okay, this can be an assumption. This can be an assumption, but it is not the central idea for sure. Compassion is a basic instinct in all living beings. Can be, because we're talking about these two things only. There is continuity between the emotional lives of humans and those of other. We are not talking about emotions. Animals have instincts but no morals. Man have morality but no instincts. Nowhere this is communicated. What is communicated? Compassion and basic instinct. So this is our correct answer. 16. The big question about India's economy is an internal one. How close can it get to pre-pandemic path? According to consensus estimates, output in the next fiscal year will be 10% lower than it would have been if COVID had not been occurred. Keep on breaking down the sentences, digesting each sentence, holding on to the thought, understanding what the passage is talking about. This appears to be too pessimistic, and the gap may be only 5%, necessitating significant upgrades to growth forecast of India. Okay, now here we are talking about the growth, and we are talking about opinions and theories. So, what is the corollary? What is corollary? Corollary is very simple. If A plus B is equal to C, then A is equal to C minus B. This equation explains everything that has to do with corollary. Okay, so now you have to find something from the passage that is the corollary to it, which is meant by the author indirectly, है ना, but it is established, है ना, we are not assuming anything, it is established by the passage. There are numerous theories about India's economic growth prospects in coming fiscal years. Yes, है ना, I'll just put a question mark. India's expected to grow beyond expectations. No, this is negative. Except expectations of economic growth and the actual achieved growth will always have wide differences. No, that is not what we're trying to say, and none of the above. No. The A thing fits the corollary thing very subtly. है ना? आगे. There must be. Again, we are supposed to find corollary. See, whenever you don't understand the meaning of these words, always try to enlighten yourself and take any sort of help that is possible. These days, Google comes in very handy. Okay? Okay, let's read the passage. There must be a critical introspection on our parts. Guys, in our CSAT course, I would explain you the meaning of every word, and we would be doing one focus lecture on every word. So that way you will be able to differentiate between all these words as well. Okay, let's get back. There must be a critical introspection on our part when accepting new changes and giving up outdated habits, because not all aspects of globalization and traditional Indian culture are harmful. So we are talking about, changing our habits, methods because of globalization. है ना? And it is not negative. That is also what we have established. The most crucial lesson learned from analyzing how globalization has affected Indian culture is necessity of appreciating and fostering the positive effects of globalism, such as tolerance and liberal outlook. Okay. Now let us see the corollary. Let's start reading from D. Cultural globalization reflects a standardization of cultural expression around the world. This is utterly irrelevant statement. Globalization and traditions are always in conflict. No, we are not saying that it is not established. Okay. See, India is always been a globalized place. We have had all the kind of people coming and settling and influencing the culture, and we have accepted everyone with open arms. So it is very unfair to say that globalization and traditions are always conflicted. It is not even given here. Old customs indirectly promotes liberal thinking and openness. This is exactly the opposite. It is important to accommodate modernity while maintaining certain elements of tradition. This is what is the corollary. है ना? Accepting critical introspection, accepting new changes, giving up outdated habits. Not all is bad and traditional Indian culture. Okay? So you have to understand what the passage is trying to say, and this is the major issue people are facing in the examination hall. Let us see. Weakening global demand growth could be a headwind for export driven sectors. Okay, so we are talking about export and weakening global demand. In your mind, keep on storing this information layer by layer. Don't just rush it, otherwise, you will end up reading the paragraphs 3-4 times and utterly confusing yourself. है ना? However, to maintain India's growth momentum, Policymakers should continue to focus on increasing India's share of global trade services in both services and merchandise. Now they're saying that to maintain it, we have to step up and maintain the focus in service and merchandise both. Strong growth is necessary for at least a decade, if not more, not only to bring sovereign debt ratio down to safer levels, but also to pull people out of poverty. Okay, so here it is talking about three things. है ना? First is demand is weakening. Second is we have to increase our share in service and merchandise. And third is it is necessary, strong growth is necessary for 10 years. Let us look at the corollary. Poverty reduction can be realized only if there is economic growth. Extreme. है ना? It says it will also pull people out of poverty. It does not say that only if. This is a deal breaker. This is an extreme statement. If there was can written here, we could have considered this as an answer. But no, there is an extreme word used. Economic growth in post-pandemic times depends on how well the economy gets restructured. This is nowhere written, right? We summed up into 3 points. Increasing foreign income is an essential part of realizing economic growth. Now, this, if the word was central idea of the passage, then you should have ticked the C option. But no, we are supposed to find the corollary, and none of this suits the definition of corollary. So, getting my point, guys? It is not just you read the options and the passages. This keyword, this guy here is the main hero of our question. If you miss that, if you don't understand that, you are going to lose marks in the exam. Question number 19. Examples of human attempts to subvert natural rules include cloning and birth of children from several parents. Okay, so we are talking about 3-parent baby kind of a concept here. By employing both these methods in this example, scientists have altered the normal reproductive process. Yes? Okay. Also, people lacking fully developed limbs can now employ biomechanical limbs to overcome the inherent impairment thanks to the use of biomechanics, which has allowed humanity to transcend physical limitations. Science is really a miraculous affair. Now, what are we going to find? Nothing. Which of the statements are correct? Now, here we are talking about science. Plus, you have to talk about just the explicit information. Don't take stress and don't leave these kind of questions in the exam. Biomechanics has allowed humans to overcome natural constraints of the body. Right? Yes. Cloning humans will benefit the fetus and could aid in prevention of genetic problems. Now see guys, here it is not saying that it will prevent genetic problems. So very easy, not explicitly given, your answer is A. Now come on, last question for today. Question number 20. What are we supposed to find? Conclusion, and that to the best one. So I assume all of these would be like a conclusion. We are supposed to find the most relevant one. है We need a reinvention of our energy system to meet the critical livelihood and economic needs of millions of people today. India's energy system. So what are we talking about? Energy system is not proper. है Why? Critical livelihood needs to be met, and economic needs of millions of people also needs to be met. India's energy system is so broken that it takes the cheapest energy generation. Now understand one thing, cheapest energy generation is also the most polluting one and supplies it so that it becomes arguably the most expensive in the world. The reasons are manifold, from perverse subsidy systems that end up not benefiting poor users and farmers in whose name they are given, to the huge leakages and inefficiencies of the power distribution companies. Now, what can be a conclusion? A conclusion is always drawn by looking at the entire passage, different components of the passage, not just one part. India's energy policy needs urgent overhauling considering the current situation. That can be India now produces power with significant negative social and environmental effects possible. There needs to be a better targeting of beneficiaries and plug the loopholes for better results. Now, we are not focusing here on just the results so that the poor are benefited. है ना, that is not the thing. And none of the above I'm going to cancel because I have two very powerful candidates which can be the answer. So now here, what are we talking about? We are talking about it needs to be reinvented. Why? Livelihood, है ना, economic needs need to be faced, the cheapest option. So right now the situation is that we are producing power with negative social and environmental effects, है ना. This suits more. This, if there was an inference or an assumption asked, you could have gone with this, that we need urgent attention. But nowhere here we have spoken about going one step further and need for an urgent overhauling, है ना. So our correct answer in this situation is B, how we are producing right now. Right, we are not supposed to go ahead of the paragraph. In the paragraph we were just talking about the present. Okay, we will, in the course we will also learn about how do we, understand the talking of past tense, present tense, future tense, and from that notion also you can reach your answer. So guys, thank you very much. Let's meet again in the continuation of this class. It will be available for students. Thank you very much.